The Brickyard 400 about to start from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our telecast today presented by Golden Corral. 74 degrees, had some rains overnight. There is a slight chance of a pop-up shower later in the day, but as each hour goes by, the percentage chance drops, which is great news. We're ready to go here at the Brickyard. As the cars start rolling from the pit lane, let's talk to our ESPN in-race reporter on the day, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who, if you look at the numbers to this point in the season, this year versus last, business has picked up. A couple of wins, increase in top 5 and top 10s, and a higher ranking in the championship standings for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got some work to do today, though, back 23rd on the grid.
All right, let's talk to him. Hey, Dale Jr., Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, Junior, we're going to go straight to our mailbag question because we had a lot to choose from, as you can imagine, being our most popular driver. But Curtis in Franklinville, North Carolina, asked this. Only 3 drivers have ever won the Daytona 500 and Brickyard 400 in the same season. What would it mean to you to accomplish that feat?
Well, it's a historic racetrack. It's been around for over 100 years. I'd love to be able to win here. My daddy won here. And if you can't win the Daytona 500, it's probably the next race on everybody's list. So I'd love to do that before my career's over with.
Hey, Junior, I just stated in our opening that I found this to be the most challenging racetrack for a driver that I actually competed on. Don't know if you agree, but can you express to our fans today maybe some of the challenges that you will face as a driver, especially starting basically mid-pack?
I think you're right about this track being real challenging. This place is so easy to overdrive. And it's a real challenge, I think, as much as it is for drivers, for a crew chief to get a car to work here and get a car to respond to changes here. I've thought that pretty much ever since I've been here. I've never really had a car that I just thought went around this place perfectly, but so it's a real challenge for the whole team. But yeah, it's real easy to overdrive, and you know, some tracks you can recover, but these corners are so short. Once you get in a little too deep, you kill the whole corner, and then the straightaways off of 2 and 4 are so long, you got to get all the way to the next corner before you really recover. You get eaten up by some guys and run over. So you just got to be real patient, batting the corners up, which is really hard to do as a race car driver, and you know that.
Yeah, you do a great job. Hey, thanks for talking with us. We'll look forward to talking to you sometime during the race. You have a great day. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Steve Letarte.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Steve, Andy Petrie up here in the booth. You have us?
Yeah, I got you good, Andy.
Hey, Steve. Start 23rd has probably got its own challenges with strategy. We're talking about there may be an array of strategies today based on what your situation is. Tell us about your situation and how it might be different if you were up front.
Well, I think you're exactly right, Andy. There's, 5 or 6 real solid different ways to call this race, and I think you start with the competition yellow at lap 20 and race from there. And you can race it like a road course, which we saw the Nationwide guys do it yesterday successfully. They pitted outside their fuel window, and they were able to get some cautions to make it. You saw the 5 take tires late, and he was able to race up towards the front. I think it really depends on how the first half of the race plays out. There's a lot of opportunity to get track position, but there's one pit stop that really matters, and that's the last one. And if you want to have a chance to win this race, you're going to have to hit the last one correctly.
Well, let's hope it all works out for you and Junior today on that last pit stop. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck.
All right, thanks, guys.
Steve Letarte setting the strategy for Dale Earnhardt Jr. today. Some fabulous high-definition onboard views for you today for the Brickyard, including Brad Keselowski's car. He's got our Goodyear on board. Pole sitter Kevin Harvick with our Jimmy John's camera. Matt Kenseth has the Toyota on board today. Joey Logano's carrying the Ford EcoBoost camera. Front row starter Jeff Gordon with the Sprint camera. Ryan Newman's got the Quicken Loans on board. Eric Almirola with our Eckrich on board. And you saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. carrying the Bowtie, the Chevy, on board today here at the Brickyard. Check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy for enhanced coverage today from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A lot of great high-definition onboard views that you just saw available for you there as well. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Just beginning the parade and pace laps. Plenty of time for the start. We'll squeeze in a break here and be back well in time for the green flag. On the final pace lap before the start of the Brickyard 400 here at Indianapolis. Our telecast today presented by Golden Corral. The field doubled up behind the Chevy SS, being driven by actor Chris Pratt, honorary pace car driver for today, starring in the new movie Guardians of the Galaxy, and very amped up about his honorary pace car driving job today. And the funny thing is, they call it an honorary pace car driver, but you're driving the real thing on the pace laps. Good to see Chris here today. How do you? Brought to you by KFC. In this case, how do you win the Brickyard 400?
No, you got to have the right strategy. We talked about that. And Dale, these restarts are going to be crazy.
We talk about it every week, but no more so than here today. You're going to have to be on your game.
And it's good to handle in the corners, but it's also good here at this track to handle down the straightaway.
It means having big horsepower in racing terms. Brad Keselowski starting in row 2, trying to win one at the Speedway for Roger Penske.
Man, but have a good one today. You're right there where you need to be. Good job, you guys, all along here the last several races. Let's keep the momentum.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Try to get you that win. 2 more spots.
Brad has won 2 of the last 3 races in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Roger Penske has 15 Indianapolis 500 victories there in the center. He's still trying to win the NASCAR race here at the Speedway. Housekeeping. 2 cars dropped to the tail end of the field. Eric Almirola's in a backup car after a crash yesterday during qualifying. They had to bring out the backup for that. He's dropped to the rear of the field. Marcus Ambrose, the yellow and black car. Transmission change at the rear of the field. Pace cars off. Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon lead the field to the start of the Brickyard 400. Tony Stewart a little bottled up in traffic in turn 2 behind his teammate Kurt Busch. Here they come, charging to his inside.
These drivers are on a complete green racetrack. We had tons of rain here last night. What they're facing here is not like anything they've seen because there were cars on the track before they even had their first practice here on Friday.
Harvick will lead lap 1, but here comes Gordon to his inside.
Gordon's shown strength all weekend long. Qualified on the front row and now taking the lead from Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I just talked to Jeff a few minutes before the start of this race, before we went on air. He was very excited about his race car. But his one concern was as the day goes on, he said, my car's a little bit tight. That makes me be able to go fast and attack this place. If I try to adjust that out, though, instead of getting that out, it goes into a 4-wheel slide. So he's a little concerned as to how this track will change throughout these 400 miles.
Brad Keselowski in the 2, Brian Vickers 55 for 3rd place. Little passenger on the grill of that 2 car. Little piece of trash there.
Yeah, I see it. It's kind of up on the bumper, though. I'm not sure it's covering up a whole lot of the grill opening. I'm sure the team's telling him to watch the water temp. It is covering up just a small portion of the grill opening.
He can find a way to reel in Kevin Harvick. Maybe the air disturbance off the back of that 4 car might help lift that piece of paper off the grill of the 2.
Yeah, he kind of gave a race away at Pocono, trying to get a piece of debris off the grill in the late laps of that race.
And if he can figure out how to reel Kevin Harvick in, it might help him win here today, too.
That's true. Kevin Harvick fastest in all 3 rounds of the knockout qualifying here Saturday. That's something that's only happened twice this season, including yesterday. And Harvick was the guy that did it the other time it happened back in Michigan. Look at this, 3 wide.
This racetrack, because of the long straightaways, it opens up opportunities to really utilize the draft. Now, it's not like we talk about at Daytona and Talladega, but because of the draft and the big spoilers on the back of these cars, you can get a run off of turn 4, as we're looking at right here, down the front straightaway, pull out, make a move, get a push. All of that helps you to take a spot away.
37, Bobby Labonte, former Brickyard winner, former champion in the field in an extra car from Tom Baldwin Racing. 36, his teammate Reed Sorensen for the Baldwin operation there, trying to pick up some ground in the early going. Gordon, Harvick, Keselowski, Vickers, Newman. Then this, Kurt Busch going by Jimmy Johnson for 8th place.
Kurt Busch has been on attack mode since the green flag. Saw him, he dove under his boss, Tony Stewart, took a spot away. Now he's taking one away from Jimmy Johnson.
One of the stories coming into the weekend, Kurt and his fabulous Indianapolis 500 effort. Part of that double he did on Memorial Day weekend, running here and then running the Coca-Cola 600 up in Charlotte. Finishing 6th, being Rookie of the Year here in the 500 and earning an enormous amount of respect in both the NASCAR and IndyCar communities for not just his effort and the result, but the way he went about it and the dedication he had to apply to achieving that double.
Yeah, we've seen him be really good here in the stock car too. He understands the part of having to attack this racetrack, but just never putting it all together to make it happen at the end of a race. We'll see if that could be the possibility for him getting that Brickyard trophy today.
It looks like Jeff Gordon's putting all 20 years experience he's had at this track to use. He's pulled out to about 1.7 seconds.
Good look back through the top 20 here. Jeff Gordon has talked about a drive for 5, a 5th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship, leads the standings coming in. He's also in a drive for 5, a 5th Brickyard 400 victory. The green flag has just waved at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the 2014 Brickyard 400. The field of 43 roaring off into turn 1. And when they came off of turn 4, Jeff Gordon roared by Kevin Harvick into the race lead. And Gordon is out in front at lap number 9. Visit Chevy.com to learn more about the all-new Chevy Silverado, the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. Jeff at work, easing out a lead of 2.2 seconds on Kevin Harvick, really showing some serious muscle in the early laps with this car.
Yeah, he sure is, but I will be very interested as this racetrack takes rubber and things go on throughout the day. It looks like it's probably going to stay overcast. Jeff was kind of happy about that as I talked with him, but see how the track surface itself may change, then can they keep up with that?
I know anytime I've ever had a car that would jump out front like that early, it always made me nervous to think that, okay, we're good now. What are we going to be when the track does get like it's going to be at the end of the race? And we know this one's going to change a lot because of all the rain.
Now, tying the rain together in that lap counter you see top of the screen, there's going to be a competition caution at lap 20 to allow the teams to check the tire wear and so on this racetrack that can be difficult on the rubber. Leaping forward from there to strategy. We've touched on it a couple times in the broadcast already today, but this race is really going to turn into a massive strategy session, and we're going to see a lot of different things all race long.
Yeah, the reason you're going to see a lot of different strategies is because depending on your situation, if you're one of the cars like Dale Earnhardt Jr. that started 23rd, your strategy is going to be different to try to get up front than somebody that's already up front. And so these guys are going to have a different, array of strategies. Starting with that 20-lap competition caution, we're going to see some people do different things there, and then it's going to turn the race into 140 laps from that point. A lot of teams can go 35 laps. If they can do that, they can split the race up into 4 more segments and make it to the end. And I expect to see some of the guys up front do that. With guys trying to make up ground from behind, they're going to try some alternate strategy to try to leapfrog themselves and hope the situation favors them.
As a driver, that can be so aggravating, but you know it going in as to what you have to do. And all that you can do is just go attack this racetrack and give the best feedback that you possibly can and hope at the end of the day that your crew chief has put you on the right strategy to be up front, have an opportunity to win this race.
Biffle spinning the tires coming up off the corner.
Saw Dale Jr. pass Juan Pablo Montoya there in that 12 car. Montoya started in 8th place, and Davies back to 18th.
You got to feel bad for him, Alan, after talking to me this morning and saying, if we can just keep our track position and move it forward, that'd be great. Well, he started 8th, as you saw on the graphic, all the way back to 18th. The car just way too loose for Juan right now, and he's going the wrong way, losing all that track position.
Well, on the other side of that, we saw Junior make the pass on. He's going forward. And I talked to Steve Letarte before the race, and he said that was going to have a big impact on what they do for strategy, depending on whether they can make up some spots in these first 20 laps before the competition caution. He's already made up 6 spots at this point.
And that's a good start to this race, and it'll allow them probably to kind of change their strategy when we do get to that lap 20. But as we watch Montoya, you could see that he really had his hands full, especially on the entry getting to the center of the corner. If you can't carry speed there, you're going to have a long day at this racetrack.
Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, 48-20, racing for 9th and 10th. Jimmy, a 4-time winner of this race, looking for a fifth. almost had one last year, but back to that strategy. We mentioned it before. His team went for a 4-tire change in their final pit stop. Ryan Newman was able to stay out a lap longer, made the call, his team, to get just 2 tires. It gave him a gap on Jimmy that the 48 was not able to make up in the remaining laps.
The competition level is so close right now. It used to be if you had the best car, like Jimmy did last year, and you put 4 tires on it, more times than not, you're going to be able to use that to your advantage. And that was the strategy they used. It just didn't work, and it doesn't work anymore. You just have to have the right strategy for your situation.
And when you've done that all day, you think that's the right thing to do at the end. But another team decided that had a fast car to do something different, and it prevailed for Ryan Newman and his team.
So competition caution coming, and the first wave of pit stops and strategy on its way in a few moments. Jeff Gordon has led all of the laps so far in this one at the Brickyard 400. The former Pittsburgh, Indiana resident in the lead. The Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway coming up on its 50-mile mark, and a competition caution with Jeff Gordon having led all but the first lap of the race, now catching the tail end of the field and beginning to put some cars a lap down. Reminder, NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has enhanced race action today live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A lot of great onboard views for you in this one. Look at the gap, first to second. Yeah, that's Kevin Harvick way back there. Jeff Gordon has had some pace in this opening run.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, that car's just been flawless, and you give Jeff Gordon a car like that, and this is exactly what you expect to see.
Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards racing for 19th and 20th. The announcement made here this morning, about 10 o'clock local time, that Carl Edwards would not be part of the Roush Fenway driver lineup for next season. Long been rumored. That part confirmed. Carl would not confirm where he's going for next year at this point. But the sponsor on that car, confirmed by Roush Fenway to be part of Ricky Stenhouse's effort next season. It'll be Stenhouse, Biffle, and Trevor Bayne, the 3-driver lineup on the Sprint Cup level for the Roush team next season.
And I think that this is a good opportunity to talk about the Roush Fenway and what they may be missing. They get their engines. Doug Yates builds there in his organization, build these engines just like they do for the Penske organization. So there's just something in that chassis body deal that the Roush Fenway guys are missing just a little bit. We know that they have very talented drivers. You can see Biffle get a little bit wide right there and going to let Carl get a big run here, take this spot away. But you have to have everything together to make it work, and they're off. It's not much. It's just a little bit, but because of the level of competition you were talking about, Andy, that's magnified.
One thing that's happened this year with this no ride height rule after the race, it's changed the way that these guys set up the cars, and they've opened it up, too. They've given them more options with springs and bump stops and secondary springs. And some teams have really capitalized on that and made some really good speed. The Roush guys have frankly struggled with it some. I talked to Carl Edwards earlier this weekend, and he said that they tested at Michigan and thought they had found some things that really pushed their level up a little bit, but they tried to implement it here, and it didn't seem to carry over.
Caution's out, backer now.
The competition caution here as the field works the 21st lap and completes lap number 20. Trevor Bayne's going to welcome the opportunity to get this car worked on the pit lane in a minute. That can't be fun.
No, that's not fun. That's a handful.
I call it about a 6 loose on exit on throttle. Forward.
Okay, we know what a 6 loose looks like for Trevor.
Yeah, and I would say that's on a scale of 5.
Okay, yeah.
In my mind.
Maybe. Okay, what we need to look for here is a 2-tire stop by most of the leaders.
And remember the difficulty on this narrow pit road when you get 2-tire stops. Some people already leaving their pit box while others are still trying to get to theirs. And you can see some fenders get crunched on the pit lane very easily here. Yep. Kevin Harvick in second place, kind of analyzing the competition.
What's everybody saying about their cars? 20
24 got looser and looser off right here. 10-4, we need to concentrate on the exit, leaving it the same. Concentrate on the center.
Giving feedback to Rodney Childers just before the caution flag and the pit stop.
Yeah, and the one thing that they're going to have a difficulty now is the track is going to be changing. It's going to change in this next run again. So how much do you adjust here, Andy?
Yeah, well, you kind of want to know his comments from that last few laps of this run, and then you can kind of get an idea. For Jeff Gordon, he's putting a lot of people to work. He pulled 4 seconds plus on second place. So a lot of guys know that they have work to do if they're going to catch him if the track doesn't change, against Jeff Gordon. Didn't seem to really hurt him too much that run, though.
Not at all. Pit road is open. Time for the crews to get busy. Joey Logano popping out of line there, staying out.
Yeah, I'll explain that in a second.
First up on the pit lane is Vince.
Well, it's been a dominant car so far for Jeff Gordon. Early on, he said it was a little tight into 2 and 3, but his primary complaint was loose off 1 and 2. No major changes, just right sides and Sunoco fuel. The 55 of Brian Vickers, he's loose off. Again, no changes, but 4 tires for the 55. Jamie?
Brad Keselowski just says he is loose, especially off of 2. The call is for right side tires only, and they stick with it. Dave?
Kevin Harvick was asked if 2 rounds down in the track bar is too much for his tight race car. He said no. That's what they did. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel.
No tires for Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer. And a real split agenda there with the 2-tire, 4-tire.
And staying out for Joey Logano. And what he's going to do, he's going to get to his window and make a green flag pit stop and get 4 tires here, probably around lap 32 to 33.
Saving fuel. And the new leader of the Brickyard 400, Joey Logano. Back for the restart in a minute.
Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. First round of pit stops have been completed. We continue under caution here for the competition caution. And I'm joined now by a star of Disney, Chris Pratt, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
You were the pace car driver as they zoom by us here. 70 miles an hour, leading 43 cars to the field.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Man, I got to tell you, I had a view in my rear view that very few people are ever given lucky enough to have. It was unbelievable, just unreal. I can't believe it's taken me 35 years to see NASCAR live and in person. This is unlike anything I've ever seen before. I am seriously hooked. I'm having so much fun.
Now we're standing here, Tony Stewart's pit box here. You just watched your first live pit stop. What was that like?
Oh man, I watched my first live pit stop here. Tony Stewart's guys. I had a chance to meet them before, and God, it's just unreal. It's absolutely unreal. It goes so much faster in live than it seems on TV, and it's just really impressive to see not only the cars but also the entire team that goes behind these guys. It's really something cool.
Chris Pratt, it's been fun. Enjoy the rest of your day at the races. Guardians of the Galaxy coming out August 1st. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. And so doubled up for the restart here on the back straightaway and a little reset on the strategy. Joey Logano's team choosing not to pit under the yellow flag, and he is in the race lead.
Officially say we are on our own strategy. Yeah, nothing to lose here. We're good. Stick to the plan. Copy.
Todd Gordon?
Yeah, I'm sure he felt like, okay, everybody pitted and I stayed out, and I guess we're on our own strategy.
So, fuel only for Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer. Right side tires, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, Brad Keselowski, Matt Kenseth, Austin Dillon, and Kyle Larson. Kevin Harvick took 4 tires from second back to 9th place.
It just seems like a huge risk to take at the beginning of the race, so I feel good about 4 tires, man.
Yeah, I do too. I think you got a couple of gas onlys up there too. I don't know about that.
There you go. It's going to be a strategy shuffle all day long.
Every one of these teams have their own agenda, just like Logano. And it's different for Harvick, and it may be different for Gordon.
I didn't really understand the no tires at all as you sit there and get fuel.
Jeff Gordon did not get going on the restart. Bottled up Keselowski and Kenseth.
They're still losing time. see the difficulty right there from Austin Dillon trying to make a pass down on the inside of another car through these tight corners. Kyle Larson takes advantage of the 3 car not getting a good run off of turn 2.
And look at this back in the pack. There is such an urgency on restarts here to get as many as you can, as quickly as you can, before they get in line.
Yeah, we talk about it every weekend, and it's certainly not lost on these drivers, especially when you get to a place as difficult as this racetrack is to pass on.
Danica Patrick, Kurt Busch, whoa, Tony Stewart, little bobble there, gathers it up. Here comes Denny Hamlin to his inside. I think Smoke's car was liking that 2-tire change.
Doesn't seem to this point in time for sure. Really thought Tony was going to be good and run up front here most of the day today.
Got a lot of time left.
Oh, yes.
Stewart there trying to hold off Paul Menard for 19th place. Jamie McMurray, Juan Pablo Montoya, the next 2 cars in line.
I heard Junior talking about making one little bobble on a track like this, and it takes you so long to recover. We saw that with Tony Stewart. It wasn't a big mistake, it's just one little bobble, but you can see how much time it cost him. Seems like he's got it straightened out now.
Yeah, if you're not back in the throttle using that 850 horsepower or 900, whichever it is in these cars, somebody behind you is doing that. And so it's once you get to the outside there, then the next corner that you put on the outside, you're not going to be able to get to the throttle as hard as you want either. So it just compounds that for at least a lap, possibly even 2.
2 former winners trading a spot there. Jamie McMurray going by Paul Menard. So Joey Logano, not pitting, is out in front after Jeff Gordon didn't get going on the restart, kind of mixed up the order behind him. Here's Casey Kane now up to 2nd in the 5 car, and Jimmy Johnson through up to 3rd in the 48. Yeah. Then you'll find Jeff Gordon back in 4th place instead of racing Logano for the lead. Behind Gordon, the other big loser in that exchange, who got bottled up behind Jeff, was Brad Keselowski, who now finds himself all the way back in 9th. There's Harvick in 5th place. Then you've got Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, Clint Boyer, then Brad Keselowski, who really lost some spots when Gordon couldn't go and he got pinned in that outside lane.
Junior's car looks good, though. He was able to make up spots deep in the pack and at times running top 3 lap times during that first run.
I think Ryan Newman made him do a little break there. I started leaning. I was wondering, as we had that shot, if we were going to see a little bobble right there.
You and me both.
How about this, Casey Kane, a driver that certainly needs a win to get himself into the chase, and has run well here in the past.
The only one of the Hendrick Motorsports drivers this season without a win, and looking to pick one up. Wants to be in that championship fight.
If you break this race up into 5 segments, it takes 32 laps for each segment. I think that's the window that Joey Logano is looking at, sometime after lap 32 to make his first pit stop.
Made longer at all by the caution flag, or are you factoring that in already?
Yeah, well, under the caution, they gained maybe a couple of laps, or at least a lap, but they have these pace laps at the beginning of the race that takes away from that first run, so it maybe just kind of washes out.
Yep. Looking. And wrestling with it, up off the turn. Peeking that car inside, DJ, coming back to something you talked about yesterday, Kevin Harvick was doing in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race, trying to enter these corners. That even though it appears that all the drivers would drive the same at the corner, there are actually a lot of tactical things they're doing behind the wheel to try and gain an advantage.
Yeah, and it depends on which position you're in, and we saw one of them right there, Jeff Gordon, sneaking his nose out to the left just to get some air on the front end. Don't go in those tire tracks because you're getting nothing to the front end of your car. Yeah, you don't have the best angle as you make that approach, but that air is more important to do that. And you can see right here, Jimmy Johnson losing 2 spots. I really quite, he's been able to stay up there, but I think Johnson's going to suffer as we go on in this run, not having any tires on that car.
Gordon to third, Harvick to fourth, Jimmy Johnson back to fifth.
And on the other side of what I was talking about, where we saw Gordon dip down, here's Casey Kane trying to take the lead and is going to get that top spot away from Joey Logano. If you're the driver in front and you see that happening, then your angle of attack changes too. If you can get that moved down just a little bit, and that keeps that driver from getting that needed air to his nose.
NASCAR Race Control radioing around to some of its spotters around the car on the wall. Paul Menard as Joey Logano ducks onto pit road, and NASCAR officials checking with their spotters around the racetrack to see if there are any showers in the area, because there's a little thing that's popped up on the radar that's pretty close, like that.
Saw a few drops entering that corner. Seems to be clear right there.
So Joey Logano from second to pit road. Dave?
We're feeling the drops down here as well, Alan. Joey's pretty happy with his race car. Tight in the center right now is what he wants help with. He said running up front help the exit. So they'll work on this with Sunoco fuel, give an air pressure adjustment. He's liked the way the car has been handling, and they're sticking to the plan.
So the part one of the, well, actually part two, I guess, of the plan. Part one would have been staying out under the caution. Part two affected by Todd Gordon and Joey Logano's team. Watch this for Paul Menard.
Oh, he got a little help. That explains a lot more.
That's a nice save.
Yeah, it was. Montoya, a little aggressive there, but we've known him to be that.
More strategy being played here. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Paul Menard on pit lane. Jamie?
Brad Keselowski, they wanted to bring it down as well, just like their teammate. Right sides was the call once again. That's what he just did, so they will top it off with fuel. Save as much time on pit road as possible.
While Keselowski and the others make their pit stops, Kevin Harvick catching Jeff Gordon to try and fight for second place. Well, that was a lot going on in a short period of time.
It'll be like that all day, I believe.
Casey Kane leading at the Brickyard.
Back at the Brickyard 400, four-time winner Jimmy Johnson on pit road. A strategy call. They came in now, and it puts them in a window to make it on 3 more fuel stops. Jamie.
Newman, the winner here last year, just coming in for his second pit stop of the day. Loose off is the call for him, right side tires.
So the game continues. Of split strategy schedules, Paul Menard has some more problems on the 27 car. And here comes Kevin Harvick in from second place for what would be a scheduled strategic pit stop.
Right side tires and fuel here.
There he is, Dave.
Took 4 last time, Alan. That gives him the opportunity to take just 2 this time, and a very quick pit stop to top off that Sunoco fuel. Kevin's gone.
27 car, Paul Menard coming back in after bouncing it off the wall. They had changed left side tires. They had noticed a right rear tire rub. They're calling Paul back in. They will pull on that right rear fender on his Menard Chevy to try to make sure they don't rub a tire or cut a tire and slam the wall. Tough break here early on for the 2011 Brickyard 400 winner.
New race leader, Casey Kane, gives up the lead to come to the pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brian Vickers, Kurt Busch following him in. Dave?
Casey was able to lead 6 laps. Remember, on his first stop, he only took right side tires, so looks like they may need to take 4. Got a tear off there to clean that windshield so he can see where he's going. It will be a 4-tire stop for Kane. Doc?
4 tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr. When they made a 2-tire change before, they short failed, did not wait on fuel, and now the strategy unfolding for the 88 car. Dave?
Kurt Busch said, I've got no grip in this 41 car. You got to help me with that. I'd also like us to go back on everything that we did the first pit stop. It'll be 4-tire change for him. They'll rework those adjustments in the driver's favor.
So Kyle Larson is now the race leader. Others that came in that you might not have seen during a break: Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer. And we saw Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth all come down the pit lane under the green flag. Looks like Kyle Larson might have a... Is he trying to draft somebody?
Yeah, I think that was Junior coming off of pit road there that he was trying to get a little toe off of.
Combined the wiggle off the corner with the dive into the inside, and I thought, something going on here. Larson cycling to the front on the strategy shuffle. After starting in 15th place, there's Jeff Gordon with Casey Kane, cycling back to 29th and 30th in this mix around of pit stops. And Kane and Gordon are 40 seconds behind Kyle Larson, but on the lead lap. Danica Patrick, Carl Edwards, Juan Pablo Montoya continuing the cycle through the pits. Jamie?
Danica Patrick saying her car's been pretty good today as they go to work on the right-hand side. A lot of fans happy to see Danica back in Indianapolis. A lot of history here in IndyCar. With the plan. Dave?
Carl Edwards took 4 tires last time, and he's going to take just 2 right sides this time. As for Juan Pablo Montoya, he talked about understeer. Yes, our moonlighting IndyCar driver. That car's tight, by the way.
Yep. Same way, different ways of saying the same thing. And Montoya rejoins the chase.
Okay, what we're watching now, we see the 42 of Larson and really the top 20 have not pitted yet under green. And if they can go up to about lap 56 or so, they can still make it on the same amount of stops as the rest of the field, and they'll have this advantage of the distance.
Jeff Gordon trying to get Kyle Busch for 25th place. Watching the fuel man. Whoa.
Oh, man.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, they did make the pit stop though under caution, and they looked like they got 1 can in. If that's the case, he's probably close to being full.
Vince, what can you tell us?
Yeah, indeed. That's the whole reason they went with the 4-tire changes to get the second can of fuel in. But as you saw, the fuelman just slipped and couldn't ever engage that fuel can in. So Alan Gustafson was frustrated with it. But the car is good. That's the good news. So 4 tires, but just that 1 can of fuel got in the 24. Certainly a bad break for Gustafson and Gordon and company.
Now they're going to have to come into, start to look at the calculations and see if they've got enough fuel, and hope it doesn't add another pit stop to their strategy. I mean, it probably won't. It looks like that second can may be only a gallon or 2 that they were going to need out of it.
But you got to be perfect all day long. That was a moment of imperfection. Kyle Larson from the race lead.
Well, he's been so impressive throughout the course of his rookie season. He's the rookie points leader, but he's a little bit too tight going into 3, so they make a chassis adjustment. It's also going to be a 4-tire change for Kyle Larson. It has been a very solid day for the kid. Now, his teammate in the 1 is Jamie McMurray. You see his crew working on the left side. They have been chasing this car all weekend long. 4-tire change in 13.8.
Well, I know Larson is not on that strategy of going 35 laps, starting at lap 20. Actually, they pitted on lap 22 after that competition yellow, so that breaks it down into, really 4 more segments for them if they can go 34 to 35 laps.
There's your new leader, Denny Hamlin. Austin Dillon led for a lap, now comes down the pit lane in the 3. Jamie?
And that was his 4th lap led this year. He slid coming onto pit road, had to slow it up, so the call now is 4 tires. Make sure he didn't fault spot any of those. They want to take precaution here. You saw the adjustment to help the handling of his race car. Austin
Sure did. Great scene with his brother Ty winning the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Not as exuberant here.
That's getting all you can get getting there, but certainly mandated getting 4 tires after that.
I guess. So Denny Hamlin cycles to the lead, leading a group of 14 that pitted at lap 22. That'll be due back on the pit lane very soon. The Brickyard 400 ongoing now here at Indianapolis. Later tonight, you can see the finals of the NHRA Sonoma Nationals on ESPN2 at 9 Eastern Time. And a reminder about next weekend's NASCAR action, the NASCAR Nationwide Series, primetime Saturday night from the Iowa Speedway at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. And next Sunday, it's on to the Tricky Triangle, 2.5-mile Pocono Raceway, noon Eastern Time, with our coverage here on ESPN. Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning that race in June. Always an exciting event on that track with 3 different shaped corners and 3 different length straightaways. Denny Hamlin is out in front in the mix of a strategy play here at the Brickyard 400 today. We've seen a rash of green flag pit stops in the last little while. Drivers all getting on different fuel schedules. Denny Hamlin, part of a group that pitted under the competition caution at lap 22 and now is going to stay out and run the full distance that they can on the tank of fuel before stopping. Then there are others, about 2/3 of the field, who stopped earlier to get in a window where they can back time from the lap they pitted to the checkered flag and minimize the number of stops they make no matter what circumstances present themselves, cautions or otherwise. Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, the top 2 that are in that group as far as progress charging back forward through the field. Harvick is running in 5th. Jeff Gordon is running in 6th. So after these other guys make pit stops in the next few laps that are in front of them, that's going to become the race to the lead.
Yeah, it will be. And just behind Jeff Gordon is Casey Kane. And I think that what we're going to see here are the 4 tires that Kane and Jeff Gordon took on versus the 2 that Harvick got at that time as this winds down towards the end of the fuel round. That they will prevail then. They are a little bit quicker than Kevin Harvick right now.
Jeff Gordon has kind of been on a bit of a mission, working his way back up through some of the traffic after that pit stop earlier. We showed you that they had the hiccup on the pit stop and might not have gotten it completely full of fuel. That plus a little bit of aggressive driving by the guy behind the wheel to make up some of the ground.
And we've been on a mission since the green flag.
You've got a good car. You want to go. You don't want anything stopping you in your way. You can see they're going by a slower car. This is a huge move right here by Jeff Gordon.
Still there. All clear, all clear. All right, 2 more slow ones ahead.
Wow.
I can guarantee that that took Logano by surprise just a little bit. I think he didn't expect that happening.
Martin Truex, Eric Almirola, David Gilliland, David Reagan pitting. So Denny Hamlin and Trevor Bayne remain on the racetrack. Then it gets back to Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon. And things will have cycled through for now. And Andy, when you start far back in the pack like Denny Hamlin did, 27th place, doing something different than the other guys did almost becomes kind of a must.
Yeah, it is. It's almost necessary to do something off sequence, and that's the only way you're going to leapfrog and hope that things work out in your favor. If this car can go to about 55 laps before he makes a stop, it's only 3 laps from now, 3 or 4 more laps, he's going to be able to do it on 1 less stop than the rest of the cars. Trevor Bayne's in.
Trevor Bayne's going to take 4 tires and also get a chassis adjustment. The car says it's pretty good in clean air, but when he gets in any kind of traffic, it's too loose to do anything with. So Bayne is in, Sunoco fuel and out.
All right, Vince, thanks. And as I watch Denny Hamlin, I'm also watching his lap times and wondering how much he might be pedaling to save fuel, because he's running about half a second or so slower than the guys that are trying to chase him down.
Yeah, some of that's tires, though. We saw 4 tires for Gordon, 2 tires on Harvick's car. I think that's showing up right now. I don't think he's necessarily saving fuel.
Yeah, but if you saw our qualifying show yesterday and heard Denny Hamlin after that was over, he was not happy. I would tell you that his car has to be much better today, and it's probably allowing them to do this too because it's handling much better to get this kind of fuel mileage.
He's inside that window, I believe, and if he can make it, looks like maybe 1 more lap, he'll be inside the window to make it on 1 less stop than the other.
this time.
Darian Grubb making the call, Doc.
And Denny Hamlin has told Darian Grubb, and I quote, "You boys have given me one great race car today." Darian said, "What do we need to fix, buddy?" He said, "There's nothing I can complain about." He said, "Maybe a little more in the middle, but nothing we can complain about." And oh, by the way, on top of a great car, they're getting fabulous fuel mileage. They will go 34-plus laps this time. Most people can only go 32 or 33. And based on their calculations, Andy Petrie, you are exactly right. When you pitch this time, they're only going to stop twice more. That's going to be close, but they can probably make it on 2 more stops. Great strategy right now for the Joe Gibbs team and Darian Grubb. As here comes the leader, Denny Hamlin, down pit road.
And again, the object of all this is, when the competition is this close and this tight, spend less time sitting still on pit road than somebody else.
Right side tires for the 11 car. Going to get it full of fuel. Make sure they get it completely full of fuel. They call packing it. Left front going on, left rear going on. Wait on fuel. Down and away. Good pit stop for Hamlin. Maybe 2 more stops on his way to a Brickyard 400 victory. That car is that good.
So Kevin Harvick cycles through to the race lead with that gap over Jeff Gordon. Past the 1/4 mark of the Brickyard 400, the 2003 race winner is out in front. ESPN baseball coverage tonight with one of the game's best rivalries. Yasiel Puig and the Dodgers trying to make a 3-game sweep with Buster Posey and the Giants. I hear that Jake Peavy might be pitching for the Giants tonight, the newly acquired. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell, 8 Eastern on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. Clayton Kershaw working his mastery yesterday over the Giants.
Yeah, another shutout. He's the best in the business. Great rivalry right there.
Be a good one tonight. Good rivalry here. Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, 4-24, 2 former winners here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway racing for the lead. And updates on both of these cars. First, we start with Dave.
Alan, these 2 cars were talked about around the garage as the 2 cars to beat today by quite a few other teams. So I asked crew chief Rodney Childers, what mentality do you take when you are perceived as the car to beat? He says you just stay to your own plan. I said, you mean like pit strategy-wise, which we've seen a lot today? He said, yeah, just like we did at Phoenix. Remember, that's where they won. That's a track position kind of track, and they won that race. If they stay to their strategy now, it could be another win with the same idea for Harvick, Vince.
Well, and as expected, a brand new race car for the 24, Jeff Gordon here at Indianapolis, as many teams do. And crew chief Alan Gustafson told me it has the latest and greatest of everything, but the improvement is all about efficiency. Everything is a little better. No huge gains, but the aero, engine, and cooling system right on down the line, all a little bit better in this car, and it has been bad fast all weekend long. They did have one hiccup. The fueler fell on that last pit stop. They didn't get the second can in, but the team tells me they were going to put in just a very small amount, so they don't feel like it's any harm to them at this point.
All right, Vince, thanks. Watching Jeff with our Pennzoil telemetry. Cracking 200 miles an hour, roaring down the back straightaway, trying to track down Kevin Harvick. Now, at the start of the race, it was Harvick, Gordon, and Brad Keselowski at the front of the field. But the 2 car is all the way back in 18th place now, despite being on the same pit stop strategy as Harvick and Gordon.
So tight right here. I think they got one through the splitter somewhere. Tighter than what that adjustment should have been able to affect. Oh, you got to dig him into the right rear. I don't know if that is not a restart or what. Okay, copy. Didn't know that.
Now, the damage to the right rear came on pit road when he and Kyle Busch made contact.
You can see Kyle Busch following closely, and as Brad slows down just a little to enter his pitch, you can see just slight contact, really just a scuff mark on the front of the 18. That's significant damage in a very crucial area on these cars, Andy.
But the direction that you see with it being flared out on that side, I wouldn't think it would hurt the car. I think he's got problems with hitting the splitter on the racetrack or something else that's slowing him down. I don't think that would slow the car down at all.
Austin Dillon by Brad Keselowski to pick up that 18th position, and Jamie McMurray right behind him. So Keselowski, that started up in 3rd place, struggling a little bit here. Really hanging on there. So the guys that were on the wave of green flag stops, kind of the short pitting, now they're coming to the end of a full fuel window. There you would include the race leader, Kevin Harvick. And we'll begin to see those cars hit the pit lane shortly for another round of stops. Back live at Indianapolis, the race leaders are on pit road. Jeff Gordon passed Kevin Harvick in turn 3. Then Harvick followed Gordon to the pit lane off turn 4, Vince.
Was a reminder to Jeff Gordon, 4,600 on the RPM. Don't speed on pit lane. It's going to be 4 tires, and Alan Gustafson reminded his crew, we got to get it full of fuel this time. So far, a smooth stop. A little bit of trouble on the left rear. Stuck on him. Still waiting on fuel. And away. Let's go to Dave.
They gave Kevin Harvick 2 right side tires last time. This time he'll need 4, a slight wedge adjustment in the left rear for a car that was tighter on those 2 tires. Doc?
Chassis adjustment, right rear, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Very minimal complaints from Jr. saying the car's been a little bit snug, little bit loose off, but not bad. Get it full of fuel, 4 tires, he's away. Dave.
Busch said his car feels like it's tipping over. He's going to make a track bar adjustment and left rear wedge adjustment to try to get a little bit more to the right front of that car. Tipping over on the left rear. Actually, said the left rear was too high. Get that straight. That's what Kurt's been complaining about. That car this run. Also a feeling of loose on this particular run.
Oh, that's not good for Danica. That's leaving pit road.
That could be an axle. Yeah, she's broken left rear axle.
or something. All right, axle. I mean, it'll roll, but it won't go. What should I do? Should I try and move? You can try it. Try to put it in like 2nd gear and see what happens here.
Caution for the 10 car. Stopped in a bad spot. 2nd yellow flag of the race. Danica running in 13th before coming down pit road.
Oh, I think it's just the right rear spinning. I think.
You won't be able to see it here, but the left rear axle broke right there when they dropped the jack, and that's not driving but one wheel. And it's on that particular situation, the right rear is the lightest power on the car, and it's just not getting traction.
So 2nd yellow flag of the race comes out in the middle of what seems like almost an endless wave of green flag pit stops today, and leaves Denny Hamlin as the race leader for the moment. Check out the driver that's led the most laps today, brought to you by the Sprint Unlimited Family Plan. Jeff Gordon out in front for 20 of the 68 laps in this one. Denny Hamlin has led the next most laps at 14. Get unlimited data, talk, and text for as low as $45 per month with 7 people. Visit sprint.com/speed or a Sprint store today. Happy connecting, race fans.
And as I look at this, there's 2 drivers back there that are a lap down in particular. Dale Jr. Is also that. But
free pass.
Yep, pass. But I see Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski. Could it change their plan, because they're going to have to start behind all of these lead lap cars, so it's going to put them further back. So can they now just stick with that strategy they had?
Well, probably not. We're going to have to see what Denny Hamlin does. If he pits and brings everybody with him, then there'll be a free pass opportunity for those cars. If not, it's going to change things. So you just have to kind of wait and see what happens when pit road opens.
Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, Austin Dillon, Jamie McMurray, Marcus Ambrose, Juan Pablo Montoya, Justin Allgaier, Eric Almirola, all of those cars, plus Martin Truex, Ricky Stenhouse, and Greg Biffle in front of Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon, who were leading before they ducked onto the pit lane. So a race that's really been, as I said before, almost a non-stop run of cars coming down pit road at different times on different strategies. And here they come to the pit lane opening.
There'll be no free pass opportunity because the 11 car of Hamlin stayed out.
Wave around, you mean?
Wave around. I'm sorry, wave around, yes.
Very interesting. Doc?
Yeah, Denny Hamlin sticking to the fuel strategy, but here is the second place car, Tony Stewart. And Tony said the car really tight, metal loose off. Guys, you got to put the air back in the right rear tire on that stop and fuel. Vince.
Jamie McMurray's going to get a track bar adjustment, also wedge and 4-tire change. They've gone from free to tight, searching for grip in the 1. Jamie?
Marcus Ambrose started 40 seconds after a transmission change. A little bit tight there. Right side tires this time around, 4 last time. Austin Dillon having issues with his antenna. They tried to fix it there. They don't think he can hear them, and he took right sides as well.
So a really interesting moment in the race here as Denny Hamlin chooses to stay on the racetrack and keep cars like Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch from getting a wave around, plus stick to his own fuel strategy.
Yeah, this is a big break actually for the 24 and the 4 that made the green flag stop just before that. They're basically now caught up to Denny Hamlin, and they have the same amount of pit stops to make from here.
Second yellow flag of the Brickyard 400 with Denny Hamlin, the race leader.
It does not get much better than a day of racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For the 21st time, stock cars are racing the Brickyard, and boy, have we seen an entertaining, strategy-filled, interesting, I'm running out of adjectives race so far. Approaching halfway at the Brickyard. And right now, it is Denny Hamlin out front. Good to have you back at the Brickyard. After 71 laps, as I said, it's Hamlin out front. Inside the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio, I'm Nicole with Rusty and Brad. Hamlin's out front because he did not stop. And you, my friend, say, bad decision.
Oh, I don't like that move whatsoever. I know I like to keep track position, that's for sure. But he pitted last at lap 55. You got Kevin Harvick and the rest of those guys on his bumper, and they pitted at lap 66. They got more fuel, they got better tires, and they got a tiger right on Denny Hamlin's tail right now. And in my opinion, Hamlin's a little weak. I wouldn't have done that. I'd have come down pit road. He was leading the race. I'd have put the fuel in the car and maintained the track position and had the tires and had the fuel. He didn't do that. I think it's a problem.
Yeah, I think this restart, too, there's a little bit of weather still in the area. It's buzzing over the radio. You're going to see some guys really pushing hard for that track position. And I still think there are 2.5 stops left in this race. It's going to be interesting to see who gambles the furthest.
And I think, what did you use to describe this race? Confusing?
It's confusing.
It's a good thing Alan knows
this piece of paper, I can't read him.
Alan?
Yeah. Let's watch this restart first, and then we'll clean up some of the strategy because that caution has kind of boiled it down a little bit. Denny Hamlin with Jeff Gordon to his outside. Excuse me, that's Kevin Harvick to his outside. Then in the next row, Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon getting ready for the green flag.
In there, but it just did not stick when he got into turn 1. Lost that inside line.
From the lead back to 4th place on the first lap after the restart. Casey Kane is now out in front with Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick behind him. By the way, Kyle made up a big chunk of ground earlier when they did a 2-tire stop when a lot of others did 4, and he gained a lot of ground at that point. So that helped Kyle Busch move toward the front of this pack a lot.
And we saw as they were riding around under caution, this 2 car was up behind Denny Hamlin, but he had to go back behind all the lead lap cars.
That was a terrible break for the 2 car. I'm sure he was planning on that 11 making a caution flag stop and taking the wave around.
Brad Keselowski back in 30th place. First car 1 lap down. A couple of more by Hamlin. Joey Logano's gotten by Jeff Gordon. Now here's Jeff working on Denny. So let's talk about the strategy for Denny Hamlin and everybody else. Hamlin last pitted at lap 55. And if you divide up the number of laps in the race and so on, what Denny and team are trying to do is stick to a schedule where they can make the distance on one last pit stop than everyone else. And that was going to be fine until that last yellow flag kind of helped some of the other guys close up the ground on him just after they pitted under green.
That was the big disadvantage to that caution coming out for Denny Hamlin. He had about 27 to 30 seconds on the guys that made the pit stop, like Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick. When that caution came out, they were able to drive right back up to him. Now they're still on the same pit stop strategy. They're going to have to make the same amount of stops, but you can see the disadvantage now that Hamlin is on without not having tires, and they've closed right back up to him and now passed him. His challenge now is to stay within about 10 seconds of the leader before he makes his stop on about lap 90, and then he can do it on one more stop.
Doc has the Hamlin pit today.
Yeah, the good part is, we just talked about it, he gets great fuel mileage. The downside is, Denny said, I don't have a lot of straightaway speed, so hanging on may be tough now on used tires. Here's the strategy. They're telling me they're going to try to pit on lap 90 or 91 and then come in the final time on around 124, which will get them right to 159 and a half or thereabouts. So that should get them close, providing everything else works, but they've lost some ground now.
Yeah, they're hoping it's more closer to 160 than 159 and a half, Doc.
Yeah. 160 lap race today, as you see top of the screen. Jeff Gordon by Joey Logano, fourth place there. Gordon starting on the very first lap of the race, got by Kevin Harvick from the outside pole starting position and led a lot of laps in the early going, but has had a couple of moments on pit road that have set him back a little bit behind. Saw the one where the fueler slipped and fell down trying to come over the wall that cost him some time on a stop.
Yeah, a couple of not so top 10 moments for those guys. That's not the list you want to be on Sports Center, but and what that did as we got into the restart then, by Gordon and them slipping back a little bit, having that problem on this most recent pit stop, it put Casey Kane in front of him, who he had been in front of, and Kevin Harvick. It had Gordon restarting on the outside, and that is certainly a disadvantage at this track. So he lost a couple more spots and now is trying to go back forward.
You had a look at Marcus Ambrose, who has moved all the way up from the back of the field on the start. Nice drive for the 9 team into the top 10. Help of some strategy in the cautions. Here's Matt Kenseth picking up a spot on Clint Boyer.
Talked to Matt a little bit yesterday about the progress of this Joe Gibbs Racing organization. Said that they just kind of started the year out a little bit behind. When they took cars with the new configuration of being able to no ride height deal, when they took them back to places and tried to run the same things and do things, just wasn't anywhere close. So they've had to really work hard to get themselves back competitive. He felt like that they were right there on the cusp of being there.
That's one of the problems with having such a good package last year. You're reluctant to get away from things that work for you. But when this thing changed like it did this year, and it was a big change. It sounds little, but it was a very big change. You almost have to abandon everything you did last year and look at it from a different perspective.
Kane, Kyle, Kevin, and Jeff. Top 4. Gordon closing in on Harvick.
Well, Casey Kane jumped to the inside as Hamlin slid up there in turn 1. He hasn't looked back. He's put almost 3 seconds on the second place car of Kyle Busch.
Talked earlier in the race about Casey really needing to win, not just to guarantee himself a spot in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, but because it's been a little while.
Yeah, and a driver needs to win. I mean, you need to run well to keep that confidence up. You know, he and Kenny Francis have had a great relationship over the years. One race has done a lot of good things, but it seems like every time they've had an opportunity this year, something has taken that opportunity away, and they just don't have the finishes or that challenge for a win to make it happen. Dave, today could be that day.
And DJ, that's the kind of conversation I had with Kenny this morning, because when you talk about maybe one of the 16 winners getting into the chase this year, you did think about the 5 before the season began. Kenny says we've been pretty good, we just haven't been dominant, and it seems like he needs to be dominant in order to capture one of these victories. Right now the leader's been told to save some fuel at the end of the straightaways as he jumped to the lead at this restart.
Next week it'll be a year to Casey Kane's last win. Pocono last August. Like to change that today. Jeff Gordon with a peek inside Harvick for 3rd place. that wasn't one wicket.
That was 3 of them, wasn't it?
And as I talk to these drivers, the challenge that they face is they get that in that situation on this racetrack in particular. As they try to take that out, then they start sliding the car around more. And then as they get into traffic up behind someone, where we used to complain a lot about the cars, you'd lose the nose there. Well, that's completely different now. Now it makes them actually loose because of the turbulence of the air and the way that it's going about this. So they can't change it too much or they'll be on the other side and wrecking loose.
Halfway through the race at Indianapolis today, the Crown Royal presents the John Wayne Walding 400 at the Brickyard. It's number 5 atop the leaderboard. Casey Kane is out in front. Back live at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Brickyard 400 is just past its midway point. Reminder that you can go to NASCAR.com for all of your latest NASCAR information. Casey Kane is the race leader. Don't forget, later tonight, more motorsports for you on the ESPN networks. The NHRA Sonoma Nationals for the Dragsters. Coming up tonight, final eliminations at 9 Eastern on ESPN2. And next weekend's racing, Nationwide Series in Iowa next Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series a week from today at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania, noon Eastern here on ESPN. The overcast beginning to break here at the Brickyard. Temperature creeping up, about 4 degrees warmer than it was at the start of the race. Casey Kane getting a little hotter too, adding to his laps in the lead total. The driver from Enumclaw, Washington, out in front of Kyle Busch by 1.8 seconds, with Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, and Joey Logano making up the rest of the top 5. You can see the running order coming across the top of your screen.
You watch for this sun and see how that's changing and who is going to favor, because it's definitely going to change the way the cars drive. We'll see if that plays into the hands of some and maybe not for others.
Yeah, because this place is so big, yeah, we're seeing a lot of sunshine, but we're still seeing some areas that are in a little bit of shade, and that can mess with the driver's mind and the race car a little bit. You'd prefer it be all of one, but this is such a massive place that sometimes that doesn't happen.
Best race for position at the moment on the track is this one. Jimmy Johnson, 48. Matt Kenseth, 20. 9th and 10th place. Jimmy, the 4-time winner, certainly expected he would be closer to the #1 spot on the scoreboard for a lot of this race. Going to give up that spot to Matt. And the 48 continues to hang on and try and figure it out. Next up for Matt Kenseth, Kyle Larson just ahead of him. Larson driving for Chip Ganassi. So much success here at the Speedway in all phases. I don't care what they've run here. It seems like Chip's won it. Of course, the Indianapolis 500. He's got a win here in the Brickyard race with Jamie McMurray a few years ago. In the sports car competition here.
Yeah, a solid day for Larson. Yeah, we keep talking about how good this young man is, and just the job that he does to going to these racetracks and in these cars for the first time. And you know, he's really made this a really good race team, and he's just solid week in and week out.
He is so good. And if you look at what he can do, is at these other tracks, he searches all over the place for grip. Coming here, I expected to see him maybe not be quite as successful because you have to be locked into one groove here. You really can't go looking around, go up next to the wall and do some things like that. But he's still able to find a place that his car runs well, even when the groove is fairly narrow.
You see the back end of that car bobbing around a lot.
Yeah, he's driving it hard.
This is not the dirt track like he raced on the other night in Ohio, Wednesday night up at Eldora, where he was the show.
They had to throw that truck away after that race.
Giving up a spot there to Matt Kenseth. Little speed out of this 20 car all of a sudden here.
That's what I was talking about, that sign.
Yeah.
It may be favoring Matt Kenseth. That's what I'm keeping an eye peeled to see who all of a sudden got a little better. Maybe it's Matt.
Some stuff on the bottom of the grill there.
That could be contributing to the speed a little bit too if it's not affecting the water temp too much. You have to think that a situation you talk about, a track getting slicker, that Matt Kenseth certainly comes to mind of a driver being able to handle that type of situation.
These two cars have been so equally matched from the start of the race. That's why I was kind of watching those two to see if this might favor one or the other. But so far, they're still glued to each other.
Jeff Gordon in fourth, chasing Kevin Harvick in third. Also mentioned Denny Hamlin, 9.5 seconds behind leader Casey Kane, coming up on that window where his green flag pit stop window will open up. So, Denny, you mentioned trying to stay within 10 seconds of the leader. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to lose a lap here because if they get 4 tires and a full load of fuel, that 10-second window is if they could make a fairly short stop and maybe not take a full load. But I think that he is going to be vulnerable for a few laps after he makes the stop. He has a few caution laps in this run, too, so he may be able to extend it just a little past that lap 90. But he's not. He's coming in.
Sticking to the plan, Darian Grubb calling Denny Hamlin onto the pit lane here. With 70 laps to go in the race, looking to split it into 2 35-lap runs, Doc.
Yep, got one more stop to make. They told Denny the car was a little bit snug, a little snappy, loose at the end of the run. They were trying to keep him within 8.5 or 9 seconds of the leader. Left side tires going on. Got to get a full fuel, chassis adjustment, and he is away.
Good stop. We'll see how it works out when he blends back in.
Jeff Gordon under Kevin Harvick. And through. That's third place now. For Gordon, who started on the front row and led a lot of the early going. Casey Kane out in front here at Indianapolis. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, coming up on the 250-mile mark. Our telecast today presented by Golden Corral. Casey Kane is the race leader, out in front of Kyle Busch by an even 2 seconds. Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, the rest of the top 5. Now, when we went to the break, Denny Hamlin was just coming off the pit lane, and we talked about how it was going to be close for him to stay on the lead lap. Well, here's how it went down, with Kane coming off 2 and Hamlin coming off the pits.
It was close. We thought that might be the cutoff point where he was when he made that stop, but he was able to make a really good 4-tire stop and get out in front of Casey now with better tires to be able to drive away, stay on the lead lap. Because he comes out now, the other cars will pit. It'll put Denny Hamlin back in the lead.
So, as you and I and everybody else on our group were discussing during the break, this now strategically is Denny Hamlin against the field.
Yeah, that's right. He's the only one that's on this particular fuel strategy, and he has a good car. It's not quite as good. It looks like that maybe Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch and Harvick have. But this is his play to see if it'll work out in his favor. He's going to have brakes with the cautions falling right.
And they kind of knew coming into this race, even though they made a lot of changes and they made that 11 car a lot better, they didn't have the speed to compete with them one-on-one that way. So this is a great strategy, and sticking with it when a lot of others abandoned that strategy that they could have been on too.
There's Hamlin. And here comes the leader, Casey Kane.
You see just how much new tires mean versus Casey Kane, who has over 25 laps on his tires now. Hamlin able to drive away, and that will benefit him then as these other cars make their pit stops.
Trouble, Trevor Bayne.
This might really help Denny Hamlin.
Caution.
Just hold on here. Hold on. Coming to you here. Coming to you. Hold the brake.
Almost had it saved. Had a tire go down. Almost saved it with the inside guardrail on the right front. No brake. Looks like it.
Trevor Bayne running in 19th position in the Wood Brothers car. Trouble in turn number 3, and the caution is out on this race for the 3rd time with 64 laps to go.
Kill.
10-4. 10-4.
Yeah, that's what it looks like here too.
Must have cut a brake line here.
It's like he'd gotten out of shape, got against the wall. This could have cut a right rear tire down. And then right here in this pack, you'll see him coming into the corner.
Not a good place for a tire to go down, but that's probably the worst. Really does a nice job of keeping it off the outside wall right there.
He's standing on the throttle there. He's not on the brakes.
No, not on the brake. He drove it around there, but then couldn't get it stopped as he got into that wet grass and it got nose into the guardrail.
From Eric Almirola's view.
Stay low. Clear. No caution. Caution. No caution.
So the yellow flag that you were talking about, Andy, maybe benefiting Denny Hamlin. This on the 11 radio.
10-4, just go. Get everything you can get here. The full can started chugging on the second can. Did not get full. I mean, it's the one thing we could not up. We're very aware of that, buddy.
Oh, you see, that right there just messed up that strategy for him. That was he's right. That's the one thing they had to get right.
Pit road open. Here come the lead lap cars. What'll be 62 laps to go. And Hamlin's coming back in with him, by the way. Vince?
And they've told Jeff Gordon, you're good to go. They've also just one more stop after this one. They've also asked him not to pull so close to the wall this time. 4 tires and fuel. They've not made a chassis adjustment to this car all day long. Going to put a second can of fuel in it as well. And let's go to Jamie Little. A clean stop so far for the 24.
Busch, little tight center, little loose off. Car is better the longer they run. A 4-tire stop once again, Dave.
Leader Casey Kane's car was a little tight. 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment. 4th place, Kevin Harvick. They were going for 4 tires. He used 3 different adjectives to describe how tight his car was. They made a big adjustment.
Almost a little contact there on the pit road. Carl Edwards and Marcos Ambrose. And there you see Casey Kane's team holding on to the lead. Harvick with that first pit stall looked like he was trying to get going, but just couldn't get the grip to get out. And we mentioned Denny Hamlin back on and off the pit lane.
Yep, so that strategy play that they had started from the beginning of the race is now over with.
Free pass on the caution flag will be Brad Keselowski. So big break for the Deuce that had gotten behind when that last caution came out just after they made a green flag pit stop. Watch Harvick come through there, trying to get going from that #1 stall. Couldn't get it done.
The Brickyard 400 is presented by Golden Corral. Help yourself to happiness. And in part by Viagra.
Turning into a beautiful 80-degree day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As we get ready to go back racing in the Brickyard 400, our telecast today presented by Golden Corral. We've got 60 laps to go, and everyone was just on and off the pit road for service. But one was there 2 laps before everyone else. Clint Boyer got onto the pit road not long before the caution came out for the Trevor Bayne spin. Watch the light, top right of the screen. It's green. It's green. And that is when the caution was called.
He snuck in there on us, didn't he?
And I don't know if they're scheduled to do that or if their spotter might, that's a great call. Either way, they're very fortunate.
So follow up on that in a minute. Follow up now on Denny Hamlin, who finds himself in 13th place. Doc?
Let's talk to Darian Grubb, and Darian, looked like your strategy had you guys cruising toward a possible Brickyard win. And then the fuel stop. What happened?
We just got some fuel in the vent, broke the seal on that single point fueling can. Once it does that, it starts chugging slow. We missed getting about 5 gallons in the car. So we had to pit right here and fill it up. Puts us on the same strategy. Everybody else And P13, we can still work our way to the front. Car's still fast.
Still got one more stop, but a fuel chugging issue, Alan, and that may have cost him a race.
For gasoline to go in, air's got to come out. And when that vent gets broken that allows the air to get out, that's what you get. The car doesn't chug as much as you'd like it to. Clint Boyer, the new race leader. Casey Kane to his outside, going green.
Jeff Gordon looking to make 3 wide.
Might have been looking to make it 3 wide. Now he's going to lose about 3 spots. Joey Logano looking to his inside. Kyle Larson there also.
Gordon's going to have to dig hard right here. He can't afford to give up any more spots. He's got to stay in touch with those first 4. He's going to have a shot at winning this race.
Great move by Gordon, though, to get back in line. And the power around the outside of Logano.
So Casey Kane back out in front. Kyle Busch very aggressive on that restart. No surprise. Up to second. Boyer back to third. Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Austin Dillon racing here. Back for 11th, 12th, and 13th. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr.
Busch there in second. I'd say I'm pretty impressed with that race team and him as a driver here today. We heard some radio communication early. I don't think we had it on air, but he wasn't very happy with his race car early on, but made some adjustments to the car and has been very, very solid here for the last 50, 60 laps of this race. Got himself in a position to take home a trophy.
More on the 18th from Jamie.
Well, early on, Kyle Busch just said his car just wasn't handling well. It was just wrecking loose, especially in traffic. He likes running by himself, likes this clean air, and they have made some adjustments on this car. And at the start of the race, you see his crew chief on the right, Dave Rogers, said our word of the day is discipline, and that is what that day has been about. Kyle Busch was disciplined behind the wheel. The car right now is good.
The only track on the NASCAR Sprint Cup circuit where Toyota has yet to go to victory lane. This is Speedway dominated by Chevrolet.
Not enough right rear to lead against the front. How am I supposed to go? It's just all over out of the racetrack.
And the feedback from Kyle on where his 18 stands versus Casey Kane that he's trying to chase down. Jeff Gordon looking on Kevin Harvick, trying to rally back after giving up a few spots on that restart.
Jeff has a good car today.
He has been on the wheel, too, all day. He has been on a mission to try to take over and get that number 5 win before anybody else is able to accomplish that. There he goes around Harvick.
4th place now for Jeff. Had ducked on and off the pit lane just after the restart, so that's why he's between 1st and 2nd place. There's Menard in that neon-colored car. Remember, we saw him having some troubles earlier and made a couple of pit stops that got him way back in traffic.
Now, I'd say Kyle Busch is probably not very happy that he hasn't pulled over and out of his way as of right now.
And Kyle Larson is moving his way towards the top 5, putting a little pressure on Joey Logano.
Kyle little earlier in the weekend, Larson talked about this racetrack not being the kind of style that he excels at. And when I saw that, I thought about it and said, well, you just finished third at New Hampshire, which is another one of those lower banked momentum type racetracks that you have to carry. And here he is running well and running up inside the top 10.
Well, that's what I said earlier. This is not the kind of track I would have thought that he would be good on, because the options are so much fewer than you see at bank racetracks. He's good. He's proven he's good everywhere, though.
Yeah, I think what he does is adapt to the situation and be willing to make changes. And I think that probably is what he was talking about more was that you just can't move around, let the car go. Yeah, even at New Hampshire, even though we talk about a pretty narrow track there, you do have options of moving around on that track a little bit. Maybe not all the way up to the wall like we see on some of the 1.5 and 2 mile tracks. But good race drivers figure out a way, and he knows that if he's going to race and win here, then he's got to adapt to the situation that is here at hand.
Larson, the 21-year-old from Elk Grove, California, in his rookie season on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and acquitting himself quite well. He's running in 7th right now behind another West Coaster, Casey Kane from the Pacific Northwest. Out in front, driver who has finished as high as 2nd here at Indianapolis back in 2005, hoping to be first to the checkered flag in 2014 at the Brickyard. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Brickyard 400 telecast presented by Golden Corral today here on what's turned out to be a beautiful afternoon after rather dire weather forecasts for a lot of the weekend. But great weather now for the Crown Royal presents the John Wayne Walding 400 at the Brickyard, the race named for a former U.S. Army veteran who's highly decorated from his service in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the sponsor naming the race for him today. Check up on some of the incidents and happenings in the race. The Danger Zone brought to you by Nationwide Insurance.
See, struggling with that gas can and didn't get to plug the second one in.
Little wrinkle contact there. Yep. Kyle Busch in a hurry to get to his pit. Keselowski slowed down.
And Danica Patrick breaks something in the rear end housing.
Patrick back on the racetrack, 28 laps down though after the repairs on the 10 car. Casey Kane has now led the most laps in this race. Out in front for 43 of the 112 laps that have been run. Kane with a 2-second advantage over Kyle Busch, and talking about where they stand strategy-wise on the radio.
We may be fine. You know, you did a good job saving gas there. So hopefully it's good. We're going to run. We're right on the window here. We're right on the number. So we're going to run. We're going to have to run as far as we can here. I think we're okay, Casey. It's just close, you know. It's just hard to tell exactly with the way these vent tubes work.
Yeah, I mean, what he's doing is the calculation. They know what they were able to do in that run. They know how much fuel it takes. They're assuming that it's full, but like you said, it's kind of it's a little blurry because you don't know if it's exactly full or not the way these vents and these cans work.
Saw the trash on the grill of the 18 car, if you noticed, as Jeff Gordon went by. Kyle trying to cut hard in behind him, and that piece of whatever it was flew off the grill of that car. Kyle going back to 3rd place, but not going to be suffering from overheating, hopefully, by getting that trash off the grill.
Well, he made that work good, I'll tell you that. The way they swapped spots, I didn't think he would have time to get that debris off, but it worked.
So Jeff Gordon up to 2nd now. Hendrick Motorsports cars running 1st and 2nd with Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson running 9th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 15th. There's the gap 1st to 2nd. And from 3rd back to 4th place, Clint Boyer and a whole line of cars.
I've been watching some lap times of Boyer and Kevin Harvick. Seems that maybe, I don't think their cars are handling that bad because they're off quite a bit. I believe that they're in a fuel-saving mode right at this moment to get them to that next pit stop that's going to allow them to get to the end of this race.
Stopped with 62 laps to go in the race. Boyer stopped with 64. But Harvick stopped with 62 to go, which would mean 2 31-lap runs if you got it all full on the last pit stop, and if we don't see anything that would extend the advertised distance for the green-white checker lane.
It's like Kenny Francis said, it's right on the number. And he's hoping his number's right.
How about the call to get that 15 car to pit road just before that last caution came out and steal some track position, Vince?
Boy, sometimes the yellow works for you and sometimes it works against you. Certainly fell right for Clint Boyer. You know, this is not what they consider to be one of their strongest tracks. So for him to be running fourth right now, they're very pleased. Said the car has actually been pretty good, but in traffic, it has just not handled the way it needs to. It gets way loose when he gets behind other cars. So that's the issue for the 15 right now. Otherwise, things are good. Dave?
Vince, talking to Rodney Childers, crew chief on this 4 car this morning, he told me that when you're making horsepower, you're using fuel. So they are right on their number as well. Unfortunately, the car is not handling well. That has been their discussion. Kevin says the car is still tight. We need to try to do something different the next time we come down pit road than the adjustments we've been doing to it.
Temperature, weather conditions have changed quite a bit since the early part of the race when Harvick and Jeff Gordon were fighting for the lead.
Yeah, that's the thing. They look to be pretty evenly matched before the sun came out and kind of baked on the racetrack. Right now, Jeff Gordon has the best car. He's actually about a tenth or tenth and a half better than Casey Kane, who's running in first. So it won't be too long he'll be able to race some of that 2.1 second gap.
Yeah, and a tight race car will cost you some fuel mileage also in the center of the corners. You try to drive through that and having to drive it a little bit harder. So could be a hindrance for Harvick and this crew too. But I think that probably the sun being out has probably made as big a difference for this car as anything.
And even 200 miles an hour on our Pennzoil telemetry for Harvick as he sailed off into turn 3. Watching Jeff Gordon eat into Casey Kane's lead the last few laps around, Gordon's been about a tenth to a tenth and a half of a second quicker. He's got 2 seconds to make up, but that was 2.5 seconds when he passed Kyle Busch. Slowly easing toward the front. Jeff Gordon in search of a 5th win in the Brickyard 400. He won the first one in 1994. Can he win the 21st today? Just past 300 miles of the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And a look at the biggest mover in the race, brought to you by the Sprint Unlimited Family Plan. Eric Almirola started last, all the way up to 16th place in a backup car for Richard Petty Motorsports. You can get unlimited data, talk, and text for as low as $45 a month with 7 people by visiting sprint.com/speed or a Sprint store today. Happy connecting. Some wall contact in qualifying Saturday. Trent Owens and this team had to bring out the backup car. And very nice progress through the field for the Daytona winner, Almirola.
Done a great job and just been very solid and kind of methodical and making his way up there. Got himself in line for a really, really good finish here this afternoon.
Yeah, he's still got 38 laps to make some more ground.
He's in some good company back there, too, as far as good drivers and good teams, but drivers that we expected maybe to be up inside the top 10 a little bit, that had worked their way up there at one point in time in this race. Dale Earnhardt Jr., our in-race reporter, gotten himself up inside the top 10, but have struggled since that point.
Junior made a green flag pit stop at lap 38. Then the caution flag came out when he was still behind the leader. It had to get a free pass to get back on the lead lap at lap 67 and has been trying to dig out of that track position from there. Denny Hamlin on his own strategy for a while. Then it didn't work out.
Yeah, just one little glitch in that strategy by not getting it full on a green flag pit stop and then putting back on the same strategy as the other cars and kind of mid-pack.
And took away all his track position. That same pit stop sequence that caught out Dale Jr. caught out Brad Keselowski as well. Except that on the caution where Junior got the free pass, they only hand out 1 for the first car lap down. Junior was ahead of Keselowski. So Brad had to wait, instead of lap 67 when Junior got it, to lap 96 when the third caution of the race waved. Now he's back on the lead lap and trying to pick up some of the lost track position. You see he started in third.
That's one of the big surprises to me today is this car hadn't been better than it is. They've been so good in the last few of these the races. I thought they would have some momentum and their package would work well here, but it hasn't really played out.
Joey Logano, Matt Kenseth, 22 and 20, 6th and 7th place. Logano has spent 10 laps in the lead of this race earlier. Todd Gordon, his crew chief, one of the first ones to call the alternate strategy of short pitting Logano to get to back time it from the finish, if you will, earlier.
He skins it there, try a little maneuver to see if he might get Logano to hang out to the outside a little bit and he sneak in there, but Logano was having nothing of that.
And we're waiting to see now who can get on the pit road and have the basically the best fuel mileage. We're starting to get inside that window for the last pit stop.
The sooner you can, the better, right?
So we got 35 laps to go. So we'll begin to see all of the front runners drift in here in these next 4 or 5 laps. Then the question becomes, is there a caution that interrupts that sequence any, that gives guys who will pit before other guys a break?
Andy, in your situation right here, if you're in that position, would you wait and get yourself positioned for a green-white checker at all, or are you just trying to win this race at lap 160?
It depends on the situation. If you feel like that you have a good car, like the cars up front, the Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, man, I'd be trying to hold on just a little bit longer. Hope the caution doesn't come out. Have a little reserve in case we have a green-white checker. But for cars that don't have a chance to win, like maybe some of this group right here, is to try to get, and here comes Montoya, but try to get on pit road as early as possible and hope a caution comes out.
Rusty was going to have his eye on Juan Pablo Montoya all day. Got your eye on him now, R-Dub.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, he's been having struggles all throughout the day, and hopefully he can make a little ground up right now. But I tell you guys, the thing I'm really concerned about that I got my eye on is this about lap 130, when everybody's due in for their final pit stop of the day. And boy, that's what we talked a lot about in the early broadcast. No mistakes, no mistakes. You got to be perfect. You said it, Alan. Ain't the deal, everybody. That is the stop I'm watching. That's going to be the money stop. Let's see who has perfect pit stops, does not make a mistake, and gets herself in trouble. We saw it last year when Jimmy Johnson took on 4 instead of 2, lost big time. Let's see what happens this time.
Here comes the race leader, Casey Kane. Headed to pit lane. What'll be with 33 laps to go in the race. And this can also serve to bring other people in, because the speed Kane will have on fresher tires for a bit. If the race goes green to the finish, you can't afford to give up the ground.
Yeah, but some of the cars have to wait because they may not be able to make that many laps. So that's kind of forcing their own hand there. But Dave, here comes the 5 car. Looks like his last stop.
And he will need to save a little bit to get to the end of this race. They're going to make just a slight chassis adjustment. He said the longer I run, the tighter I get, but just a little bit. So a 4-tire stop, it'll be a left side wedge adjustment for him. To get to the end, they do have to pack it full of fuel, wait on it, and gone, Jamie.
Matt Kenseth saying, and Denny Hamlin you see pulling out of his pit box, but Matt Kenseth saying the warmer, it is the more the nose is moving around on his car. A 4-tire stop here for the 20, been pretty decent today, and they wipe the grill. Meanwhile, Ryan Newman is in his pit box. He just wants air pressure adjustment to help the handling a little bit in the rear tires. Wipe the grill for Ryan Newman. And Kyle Busch starts off a little on the free side, and as the run goes, he tightens up. So he wants a little bit of help. He said, if we're going to run out here by ourselves, I need to be able to hang on longer. So they'll tighten him up here. They're calling for a 4-tire stop here. Fill him up with fuel, pack him full of Sunoco fuel. There is the chassis adjustment, the right rear side. And they work on the left-hand side of the car. It'll be a 4-tire stop.
Chassis adjustment for Jimmy Johnson. He had been so tight all day long. Chad tried twice to loosen him up, and finally in his last run, he was free off.
Joey Logano from 6th position, a 4-tire change and air pressure adjustment. The car had lost its turn, but then it went and got loose on that particular run. That is what the air pressure adjustment's for. Carl Edwards was also on pit road from 13th position. Vince?
They've not made a chassis adjustment on the 24 of Jeff Gordon all day long. They've had a couple of bobbles in the pit lane, but it's been nearly flawless everywhere else. A clear window shield for Gordon. It's going to be a 4-tire change. Now the second can of fuel is going in, a critical element there to make sure he's got enough to get to the end, and it's a clean stop, Dave.
Kevin Harvick's car, remember, very, very tight. They wanted him to try something very different on this particular pit stop. So they're going to go back on their track bar and air pressure adjustments. They're going to add a wedge adjustment. So you should see wrenches going in both sides of the 4-car plus a 4-tire stop, and the crew trying to hit it the best they can. He's stopping as late as anybody right now in that lead pack. Had been running in the 5th position. They'll make sure they get a full load of Sunoco fuel in this time and try to take him to the end with 31 to go. Jamie?
On the last pit stop, Brad Keselowski had that right rear damage. They were able to fix it, so this time they were able to save some time on pit road. The car handling is a little bit better. He's down and away.
Greg Biffle also on and off the pit lane. This whole wave of pit stops wrapping up just like that in the period of a few laps. With Martin Truex Jr., A.J. Allmendinger, and Michael Annett completing the cycle of stops. Truex Jr. and Allmendinger coming in now. So, Kasey Kahne and Jeff Gordon. Their relative positions before and after the pit stops. Pretty much the same.
I have to wonder about this 5, though. He was a little early on making that pit stop. I know being out front, you can save a little bit more if you want to do that.
Yeah, there's some question marks on whether the 5-car can make it to the end. Now, they only went about, 29 laps on that run. They're going to have to go about 33 to the finish, so that's going to put them really, really close. I'm sure they're nervous about it. Probably more nervous about Jeff Gordon. He's coming now.
I was going to say, as Kahne tries to work traffic, he caught Landon Castle in the 40 at a tough spot. Here comes Gordon with a full head of steam.
And he needs to take it or to get this spot right now. If he can do it.
Kasey doesn't want to give it up, does he?
No, he sure didn't. He had Gordon pedaling the throttle right there, and you could see he was able to stretch out just a little bit.
So what is likely the final round of pit stops in the race, at least under green. And for these leaders, if there's any way they can help it. Jeff Gordon stalking Kasey Kahne for the #1 spot. Kyle Busch 2.5 seconds back. Then it's 16 seconds back to Matt Kenseth, who's in 4th place.
Well, the one thing Gordon can do right now is force Kasey to run just as hard as he possibly can. If he's close on fuel, it'll run him out.
Difficulty of passing, though. Kahne can't afford to let Gordon go by just to save some fuel, even because Gordon is shown to be probably the best car here, even though Kasey has been able to lead the most laps. Wow, look at this.
Looking in, he's there, he's there.
Yeah, but look at Kasey power up on the outside like that. That's pretty strong, too.
That's something we've seen Jeff Gordon do all day, drive that car deep into the corner.
And is it so evident how bad he wants this 5th win here at Indy?
Yeah.
He got back to the throttle, but he lost the nose there in doing that.
.26 to go. Two-car fight to the finish. Will it be these two? Will the caution come out, change the picture completely? Jeff Gordon continuing to hunt the lead. Casey Kane continuing to hold him off. Baseball tonight on ESPN in one of the game's best rivalries, the Dodgers and the Giants. In a tight fight for the National League West lead, the Dodgers try to sweep the Giants for the weekend after Clayton Kershaw's gem last night. Jake Peavy, newly acquired, pitching for the Giants tonight. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell, 8 Eastern on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. Casey Kane trying to shut out Jeff Gordon here from the lead in the Brickyard 400. 22 laps to go. The picture exactly as it was when you left it. About the same gap between the two. Now they're coming up on some lap cars. Caution out. Slow car on the racetrack that's going to stop and not make it back around to the pit road. It is Ryan Truex in the 83. He coasted down the front stretch out of power. You're not going to coast all the way back around here.
Same thing, won't run past 3,500.
And that is a huge reset button pressed on this race.
That's going to put some pressure on these crew chiefs to make the call to come and get tires or not.
They're telling you to go back up and pass them.
5 is the leader. Casey Kane on the lead lap, 26 cars. There'll be 20 laps to go when they come to the opening of pit lane. Some will take tires, certainly.
Yeah, certainly some will. The question is, will the 5 and the 24 and the 18, will these guys duck down pit road too?
Caution is going to help the 5 if they stay out, because if he was concerned about being short on fuel, running around under the caution is going to gain him some savings. I'm sure there are some interesting things on the radio of these race leaders.
5's too short, 4 good. So just safe. Just keep thinking about it. We got to find a way here. You can do this.
Alan Gustafson to Jeff Gordon.
See Rick Hendrick, Doug Ducard on the back of the box. That's Alan Gustafson on the near side, the crew chief.
Because he knows we're close. He's going to make it hard on us to save.
Yeah, he is. He's going to run just as hard as he can, and that's his job. He's supposed to try to make Casey run harder than he wants to, not let him save any fuel.
Make him keep up with the pace car, not shut that thing off and coast too much either. Pit road open here. Kevin Harvick is the first taker from 8th place. Not everyone behind him came in, but most.
Car Jimmy Johnson in. They're going to make a chassis adjustment. Jimmy had just run the fastest lap he had run all day long. Right side tires trying to get him nailed down.
There's Clint Boyer in the 15 car. They were worried about overheating. You saw him just clear off the grill there. They had some debris on the grill. Changed right side tires. Dave?
Kevin Harvick started the run on the splitter, and that's why they wanted to make that wedge adjustment to try to get the car up off. It actually ended up a little bit loose off, and they at the late moment changed to just a right side tire stop.
That's because about everybody else behind them did. The advantage of being all the way down at pit exit for Rodney Childers. We'll see where Harvick lines up for the restart. He pitted from 8th place. 20 laps to go in the Brickyard 400. Hang on. Getting ready to decide the Brickyard 400 here at Indianapolis now. Later tonight, they'll decide the winner of the NHRA Sonoma Nationals. Final eliminations, 9 Eastern over on ESPN2. And next weekend's action, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday night for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, little short track racing. Iowa Speedway, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Always a good one there. And next Sunday, the 3-corner, 3 straightaway Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania, noon Eastern on ESPN. Dale Jr., the winner there in the race back in June. Coming to the 1 to go signal, which is going to leave us 17 laps to go when we get the green flag a lap from now. Down to pit road, Vince.
With the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, Alan Gustafson. First of all, Alan, any question at all that you're good on fuel?
No, we're good on gas. You know, we could have 3 green, white checkers and we could get close, but we're good.
How important is the restart, considering you've had a couple of stumbles at the restart today?
And the restart's going to be the race, really. I think we might be able to pass Casey if we get out behind him, but if we lose more than that, it's over.
Thanks, Alan.
Dave Rogers calling the shots for Kyle Busch. How you guys looking right now? Are you good in case we have a green-white checker scenario?
Well, it's all going to depend. We're close. We got a little bit past the advertised distance, but depends on how long the cleanup is. So it's a gamble, but we're all in the same boat.
All right, let's go over to Doc.
Darian Grubb, the miscue on fuel, you thought you guys might be out of it. Now you're back in it. How much of a car, how good of a car do you have here these final few laps?
We got a really good car. I'm just hoping Denny's able to pull it off after we messed it up there in the middle of the race for him. But right now, we at least got a shot at it. If that caution came out, starting fifth with a good car, so we'll see what happens.
And Alan, Denny Hamlin likes what he's got.
Denny ran up from 14th to 6th in the running order during that last round of green flag pit stops. That's where he gained all the track position. So Kasey Kahne going to try and hold off Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, and the rest of them on this restart.
Keep saving as long as you can there.
I will. My tires are filthy.
Try to get them cleaned up the best you can, obviously.
Yeah, that's the one thing about trying to save fuel under caution. It's hard to keep the tires clean.
You heard Alan Gustafson say it. This restart will be the moment of the race. The moment of the race brought to you by Dairy Queen. Pun intended. Going to be a blizzard of activity right here.
Here we go.
Pace cars off. 17 laps to go at the Brickyard.
Jeff Gordon's really going to have to take the lead from Kasey Kahne, because if he doesn't, he's probably going back to at least 30.
He did it. And it's Kahne that goes back to third and maybe fourth.
That's what I say now is put Kasey Kahne on the defensive. Here comes Matt Kenseth 3 wide. And look at Hamlin. Hamlin passed both of them.
Well, that's using the draft to perfection there by Denny Hamlin. Got himself in a spot, trying to go win this race.
Denny Hamlin up to third.
You have to wonder there with that restart, did Kasey Kahne not get his tires cleaned off enough to make that car stick and keep the lead?
In one lap, he went from first to fifth. Now Matt Kenseth trying to find a way around Kahne for around Hamlin rather, for third place.
Tell you what, they might not win, but what a day for Joe Gibbs Racing to have these cars all up in the top 5 here at the end of the day, where they've been struggling for part of the year. Looks like they've got this program right on track.
Second, third, and fourth right now. So the restart, a disaster for Kasey Kahne. Determined driving from Jeff Gordon, because Jeff didn't get away quite so good at the drop of the green flag, but boy, he drove it into turn 1 again.
I think you're right. Just the determination I've seen, the intensity and the driving of Jeff Gordon since the start of this race. He meant to take the lead away from Kasey Kahne right here.
Yeah, Kahne got down in okay, but you can see his car really wiggling around there, not able to get back in the throttle.
Yeah, you see some intensity on that pit box too.
Now, I think this whole thing started with Kasey Kahne. We said it back whenever he pitted a couple of laps earlier than Jeff Gordon and other Hendrick teammates, that they put themselves in a position of just having to worry about fuel so much. Kasey was riding around out there having to save so much fuel under that caution that he didn't get his tires cleaned up.
And see, with the engine turned off, the power steering doesn't work. You obviously can't drive the rear wheels to clean the rear tires off. That's what happens, and it just starts collecting all the marbles off the racetrack. Didn't get them cleaned up.
1.2 seconds, the lead from Jeff Gordon back to Kyle Busch. And then from Kyle, a similar distance back to Denny Hamlin in third. It was over at Jeff Gordon's charity bowling tournament that he runs here in Indianapolis every year. His foundation always to benefit the Riley Children's Hospital in Indianapolis. And Jeff has all the children who are being treated for cancer and the doctors and nurses who treat them over, and raises a lot of money for the cause for 13 straight years now. And I spoke with Jeff about his season so far, and he talked about basically the same things that Ray Evernham talked about in our Professor Ray piece on Countdown earlier. Great cars, great engine, a great pit crew, and the communication between he and his crew chief Alan Gustafson and the confidence they're showing back and forth in each other is as good as it's ever been. And that's why he's leading the championship standings. He said, I want a couple of more wins going into the chase. You're going to have to be able to win this championship, but I feel great about our season so far.
You know, I think what I see and get from Jeff is a determination there, because you started to hear some things. And Andy, I'm going to go back to a time that you went to Richard Childress Racing with Dale Earnhardt. People were starting to talk about Earnhardt maybe had lost a little bit, didn't have that determination, desire. He had made too much money, won too much. And I think Jeff's heard a lot of those things. Earnhardt and you certainly proved people wrong, and I think Jeff's out to do that too.
Yeah, I knew when I went to overtake that job that he wasn't finished winning, and I'm pretty convinced that Jeff Gordon didn't either. I think he may have another championship in him.
Vince is in Jeff Gordon's pit.
You know, Jeff Gordon has won this race 4 times before, but his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, has never been part of a win at the Brickyard. And he told me this morning, I want this race more than any other. This track is the pinnacle. It's the world stage to me. And regardless of your discipline of racing, it's special to win at Indy. I've never done it. I want it. And I believe we've got a chance to do it today. So that's why you saw that emotion from Alan Gustafson when Jeff Gordon had that restart and took the lead from Casey Kane. It means the world to the crew chief, just like it does the driver.
Jeff Gordon leads everything here at the Brickyard, including today's race. One of just 2 drivers now that have been in every one of the 21 runnings of the Brickyard 400. Bobby Labonte, the other, in the field today.
Just have a hard time thinking of a time that he wasn't here in the mix running well and things going for Jeff Gordon. Obviously, winning that first one was tremendous for him and for the sport, for this speedway, for everything. And having an outstanding day here today.
Which was the one, was it when Menard won or when McMurray won? When Gordon was chasing him down on the fresher tires in the late laps, and Paul was trying to save fuel, and he charged and charged and charged and came so close and fell short.
Just so good here, and when even times he's won a couple of, maybe when he didn't have the very best car. I chased him down here one day, thought that I was going to beat him for sure, but he finds a way to keep you back there to get the job done. Not just me, but plenty of others that have tried that too. He's just a master at this track.
10 laps to go. If you're a numbers fan, recent history says the guy leading with 10 to go is going to take home the trophy and kiss a brick. We know this is racing and things can happen, but for now, Jeff out in front and building on his lead over Kyle Busch. It's up now to 1.5 seconds.
It's 1.5 seconds, but this again has been an outstanding day for Kyle Busch and this team. They didn't have the car at the beginning of this race. Of course, the track changed a lot. I think that came to them probably with their setup a little bit, and then making a few changes and the determination of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, if you look just behind him too, Denny Hamlin. Having that miscue that put them basically mid-pack. They were running 14th or so when that caution came out, and you got to give Darian Grubb a lot of credit for making another move here. He left him on the racetrack while those other cars pitted and took that track position to put himself up there to take a chance at getting up in the top 3 or 4. Here he is running 3rd.
Great rally for Denny Hamlin and that team today. So coming to 8 to go, the Crown Royal presents the John Wayne Walding 400 at the Brickyard. 21st running of the Brickyard 400 today. Jeff Gordon says when he comes here, the cheers for him are a little louder than at any other place he goes. And he says, quote, I love it. Of course, Jeff and his family moved from California to the Indianapolis area because there were racetracks here that would allow a teen of less than 16 years old to race a full-size sprint car and a full-size race car. And by that time, Jeff had shown the aptitude and real skill for it. So his family moved here, and they lived in Pittsboro, Indiana, just outside of the direct Indianapolis area, and spent the formative years of his career, if you will, here, the Thursday Night Thunder Series here on ESPN, where Jeff came to be known to many across the country through his exploits in the USAC midgets and sprint cars and Silver Crown. And then he made his move to go NASCAR racing. That was the direction his career took. But that very first Brickyard 400 here in 1994, when Jeff, many considered still one of their local sons, drove to victory lane in this Speedway's first stock car race. One of those moments that for everyone who was here or watching that day just sort of considered destiny and magic. The local kid wins at the Brickyard in the first stock car race here.
Yeah, and he hasn't stopped since then either. So, you know, he was one of the first one, especially in the modern area, that came from that open wheel background that has been extremely successful. Jeff came in to start racing stock cars in what is now the Nationwide Series, and it was for Bill Davis and some others in that he was able to do that. But Rick Hendrick saw the talent here, signed him up, and you know, they've got 4 championships and 4 Brickyards to this point to talk about, along with a lot of other wins.
Stretching it out over Kyle Busch. Now up to 2 seconds. 6 laps to go. Yeah, Dale, it's a favorite saying of yours that the big drivers and the big teams win the big races on the big stage. We talked about at the top of the broadcast how this is the most challenging track a driver can face. And Andy, what a stressful day that this is on the crew chief to get the car prepared right and call the strategy right. And for Jeff to be facing a 5th win in this race and at this place, that's a statement all in itself in that context.
Yeah, it really is, and certainly has to put them towards the top as we talk about championship contenders this year, because when you do perform here, that means you can go all of these other places. But just talk about what a champion that he is and has been over these years, and how he gets up for this
5
race
to go here.
and the job that he does. And you know, Will, as we ride along with him here, yeah, there's only 5 laps to go. He's out front. He's got the race car he's shown, but this is still stressful driving in these last 5 laps. That's still a lot of miles that you have to go, 4 distinct corners that you have to navigate. You can't make a mistake whatsoever.
He was 23 years old when he won his first Brickyard 400. He's 43 now. I'm telling you, he's driving as hard as I've ever seen him right now, this moment.
Inside the car, you're driving, fearing the caution.
Yeah, right now, that's one of your thoughts. You got 2 long straightaways. You take a glance down at your gauges, take a glance in the mirror, and the other time that you use down that straightaway is praying that there's not a caution, because you know you've got it well in hand.
I promise you the crew chief's doing the same thing. He's up there thinking, the only thing that can mess this up is a caution and a weird restart. We've got the best car, and now 4 laps to go. And I'll tell you, these will be the 4 longest laps that Alan Gustafson's ever sat through.
We talked about keys to the race is handle down the straightaway, get the strategy right. Certainly this 24
Bring it home, bud. 3 to go at the 1.
Handled down the straightaway awfully well today, and Alan Gustafson has called the right race as the circumstances unfolded.
He's done everything that you have to do, and you know, we're looking right here with 3 laps to go that, you know, the dominance of Chevrolet at this racetrack. This is looking at 12 straight.
I was with Alan Gustafson in the garage area this morning. He was standing right over that car and had this extremely concerned look on his face. And I walked up to him and I said, "Looks like you got a great chance today." And he said, "Yeah, I know it." He said, "I just hope we get it right."
And the other third point of our keys to the race at the start of the day was restarts and how important they would be.
Wow. And he did it from the outside. I mean, that was just so impressive for Jeff Gordon to dig down in there, knowing, and he knew in his mind, if he did not take the lead as I stayed there, that he was going to fall back and probably wasn't going to be able to make that time up and go get the leader.
Up to 2.3 seconds for Jeff. You see the top 5 have somewhat spread.
And we talk about that, how much this means to the drivers, and Andy, you've talked about to the crew chiefs, but it's a huge event and celebration for the entire team to come here because of everything that goes on. This big victory lane is huge. Everybody gets a celebration there and be a part of that. The ceremony afterwards to go out and kiss the bricks and all of that. So it becomes a huge team effort, and everybody gets that celebration that maybe you don't at a lot of other places.
then it takes the whole team to make. You have to have everything right to win here, and the whole team is invested in this race.
While we watch Jeff work through these final 2 laps, just to mention a couple of other stories to kind of tie up drivers' days. Kevin Harvick running in 8th position now after contending for the lead and starting on pole early. Dale Earnhardt Jr. rallying back into the top 10. He's running 9th at the moment. Brad Keselowski running 13th. Jimmy Johnson has faded to 14th. Tony Stewart runs 17th. And we also mentioned Juan Pablo Montoya earlier. He's in 23rd. Kurt Busch trapped a lap down. Talked about Junior and Keselowski getting the caution and the free pass. It never fell right for Kurt, and he still trapped a lap down back in 28th place.
Yeah, and the 5 car of Casey Kane, who was the leader on that last
time, buddy. You got a lot of room behind you. Hit your marks.
And we pointed out early on, they've had a lot of very good races, but just find ways not to win once again today.
Hold it there, bud.
He's in the last lap. And as we look out the window across at the grandstands, all the fans that are here at the Speedway today are now on their feet, watching to see if Jeff Gordon comes back around to take another checkered flag. Final corners. He won the first one in 1994. 20 years later, he wins the 21st. Checkered flag in the Brickyard 400 to Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, buddy. Great stuff all over you on the best. We're going to kiss the bricks, boys. Kiss the brick, baby. What did I tell you this morning? What did I tell you when I got here? Yes, sir. I'm so glad we brought it home for you, boss. Thanks for coming, buddy. Go kiss those bricks. You guys are so awesome. That is unbelievable. Yes! It's you guys. You did this. Awesome. Awesome job, Eddie. God, I finally had the restart of my life.
Yes, you did. Right when he needed it.
What a day for Jeff Gordon, Rick Hendrick, Alan Gustafson, and their team. Vince?
Alan Gustafson shaking the hands of each and every one of his crew members who have done such a terrific job today. Before the race this morning, we talked about this race, and you talked about the significance of possibly winning it. Now that you've done it, what's it mean?
I'm having a terrible interview because it's just unbelievable. You know, I want to win this race my whole life, win here. It's an unbelievable place in the history of this racetrack, and Jeff's amazing record here. And, you know, this is the one. This is the one for me. I'm so proud of everybody at the 524 shop. Casey had a great run, and it's a new car, and just a ton of work to it, a ton of work into it. And those guys, they did it. They're the best.
Congratulations. Doc?
With Rick Hendrick, and Rick, 20 years ago this saga began. He made history in 94, and he did it again today with his 5th victory. What's this mean to you and your team?
I told him. That's how I feel. You know, I told him this morning, I said, this is your day. And he's been so good on the long runs at every track, and he gets around this place so well. But for him to break that tie, it's pretty special. And we're a little bit older than we were 20 years ago, but it's a great win. And this is what a way for Jeff here in Indianapolis, where this is his home track. And I remember even the first one, how good it felt. This one feels just as good.
We'll let you go, my friend. You have some bricks to go kiss. Go celebrate.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Alan?
The fours have been good for Jeff here at Indianapolis. Won the race in 1994, 2004, 2014. If you like numbers, those are pretty good ones. And the biggest number of all for Jeff, 5. 5 wins at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Incredible. The fans love him. His crew's certainly loving him. The victory celebration at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway after Jeff Gordon wins the Brickyard 400 for a 5th time. We'll come back, have the victory lane ceremony, and the kissing of the bricks at the Speedway. 1994, he won the first of 5 Brickyard 400s. Did it again in 98, 01, 04, and now today in 2014. Blasted his way past Casey Kane on a restart with 17 to go. Maybe willed his way is a better term, and pulled away over the final laps to score his record 5th win in the Brickyard 400. Our Goodyear Superior performer today, Jeff Gordon, winds up taking home the checkered flag for an unprecedented 5th time in this race. The 9th win here for Rick Hendrick. And now he's driven to victory lane. Our victory lane presented by Pennzoil. Here's Jeff.
Nascar's first 5-time winner of the Brickyard 400. Jeff Gordon getting some celebratory kisses from the family. You did it, my friend. How does it feel to be back in victory lane at Indianapolis?
I don't think there's a greater feeling as a race car driver and a race team, because that's what it took today. Total team effort to be here in victory lane in Indianapolis. Whew, I'm exhausted.
What's going through your mind on that last restart, 17 to go, and as Alan Gustafson told us in the interview just before it, that's the race. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm not very good on restarts and wasn't very good today. And I finally made the restart of my life today when it counted most. And I knew we had a great race car. We just need to get out front. Casey kind of, hung back, and I, kind of got a little ahead of him, and I had to back up. I was able to stand his quarter panel. And once we got down into 1 and 2, I could hear him getting loose. I was kind of glad he took the inside because I really wanted the outside. Man, and I got to thank him. He raced me awesome and clean because it could have got real ugly down there. And once it got clear of him, I was like, I can't believe this is happening now. No caution, please, no caution. Such a great guy. I got to thank Exalta, Finish Masters on this car. We cannot do it without them. AARP, Drive In Hunger, Pepsi, Valvoline, Chevrolet. Gosh, I cannot believe that this just happened.
You certainly are one who understands the history of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What's the significance to you to be a 5-time winner here?
I was trying so hard with 10 to go not to focus on the crowd. I could see every once in a while glance up there and see the reaction. I was trying not to let it get to me, not think about it too much. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And yet you can't help it. It's such a big race. Such an important victory, crucial moment in the season and championship, and you just, those emotions take over. Have my kids here. Oh my God, there's nothing better than coming to victory lane, especially in one of the biggest races with your family here. All I know is my friends back at home, I need to take a vacation more often. This one really is for all those fans throughout the years. And all weekend long, they're saying, we believe you can get number 5. Go get number 5. We got number 5. Yes!
The drive for 5. Jeff Gordon wins at Indianapolis.